I want to talk about Am I My Brother's Keeper, particularly in lieu of the recent hostage release in Israel. It's a subject that I really would rather just sit here and cry and weep for the families and for the hostages. But that won't do you any good, hearing me weep and cry and lament. I'll read from Bereshit, Genesis. And if you can, for a moment, try to get yourselves out of yourselves, thinking about yourselves, and actually really focusing on God's word, that would be great. Adonai God made garments of skin for Adam and his wife and clothed them. This is after their sin. Adonai God said, See, the man has become like one of us, knowing good and evil. So we were made in God's character. We were made in God's image. We were made with part of God's attributes. Now we have even more so God's knowledge of good and evil. You really are without excuse, and so am I. Now, to prevent his putting out his hand and taking also from the tree of life, eating and living forever. Therefore, Adonai God sent him out of the Garden of Eden to cultivate the ground from which he was taken. He didn't have to cultivate the ground, it was provided. But now it is no longer going to be provided for him. Now, the ground from which he's taken, he's going to have to cultivate. So he drove man out. You ever driven somebody out of your house? And he placed at the east, listen, Adam, Hava must have went out kicking and screaming. After all they ever known is home. He had to drive them out. Placed them at the east, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden the cherubim, and that's a mighty angel, and a flaming sword which turned in every direction to guard the way to the tree of life. No more. You're going to no more. You don't get to eat from the tree of life and live forever now. Now you're going to cultivate the ground, struggle, sweat, and fight to live the little menial amount of time that you're going to be given. And even that time is going to be reduced. The man had sexual relations with Hava, his wife, and she conceived. Well, we don't know when that occurred, but it looks like that didn't happen until after the fall. She conceived and gave birth to Cain meaning act to acquire, and said, I have acquired a man from Adonai. So she acknowledges that God has given her a gift and names him appropriately. In addition, she gave birth to his brother, Abel. Havel kept sheep while Cain worked the soil. In the course of time, Cain brought an offering to Adonai from the produce of the soil. And Havel, too, brought from the firstborn of his sheep, including their fat. Adonai accepted, including the fat. Adonai accepted Havel and his offering, but did not accept Cain and his offering. Now, before we go on, you want to explain to them why God accepted Havel and not Cain's offering? Guy, we talked about it, you and I.
Yes, we have. We actually did a message specifically about that, the book of Malachi, which you should listen to. That will pretty much clear it up, but just to give you a sample, the Lord wants the best, and He wants the first. The firstborn, the first fruit, the first and the best. Anything less than the best, He will not accept. Abel brought the firstborn of his herd. Cain just brought something from the field. It says in the course of time, he just brought something. Wasn't the best, wasn't the first. Just the common. And the Lord is not common. There is nothing common about God, and He will not accept a common offering.
That's correct. In fact, more people this holiday in America called Valentine's Day, godless holiday. People were in the stores, mostly men, buying for the women, not the women buying anything for the man. The woman wants to be the center of attention and the reason for your devotion. That is not the way the earth is designed, not the way God made it to be. God is the center of your attention and the reason for your devotion. And there are people, particularly women, who want to rob God of his position and be God to you. Your company that you work for, your job wants to rob God of his position and be God to you. Your political hero, the president of your party, whatever party you belong to, wants to rob God of his position and be the center of your attention to you. Sometimes your priests and your pastors and your ministers and your gurus and your mentors and your tutors want to rob God. Even your parents want to rob God of his position and be the center of attention for you. I think you get my drift. The firstborn, the best for God, the rest for you. Adonai said to Cain, it says he brought the offering. Cain was very angry and his face fell. You ever talk to somebody and watch their countenance change, their face changes? I do it all the time. Well, why wouldn't you? The Bible tells you to do that in Proverbs. Just look at a person's face. Watch how they tilt their head or breathe or sigh or eyes dart. They're done with you. They've had it. The body, every FBI interrogator will tell you this. This is not new. They watch your body language. If Adonai said to Cain, why are you angry? Why so downcast? Why so serious? If you are doing what is good, shouldn't you hold your head high? Uh-huh. Guilt. The worst thing about a guilty person is when they try to turn the table on you and make themselves a victim. That's the nastiest part of talking to somebody who's guilty. They can't even accept it without turning the table. You know why they can't accept it? Because it hurts their ego and their pride. And pride is the beginning of sin. That's why vanity with women, pride. Pride is the beginning of sin. It is the birth wound where it is born. That includes murder, jealousy. And if you don't do what is good, if you're doing what is good, shouldn't you hold your head up high? And if you don't do what is good, sin is crouching at your door. Yeshua said to Peter, be careful, the devil desires to sift you. It wants you, but you can rule over it. Demon possession, drug addiction, it wants you, but you can rule over it. Resist and the devil will flee. I don't feel sorry for most of you because you choose not to resist. Now, either I'm a liar and God's a liar, or you're the truth and God and I are the liars. Resist and the devil will flee. Cain, sin wants to rule over you. The devil seeks a lot. It wants you. Resist. Cain had words with Hevel, his brother. That's called an argument. Then one time, when they were in the field, Cain turned on Hevel, his brother, and killed him. Adonai said to Cain, where is Hevel, your brother? And he replied, I don't know. Don't you hate hearing people go, I don't know? It's the worst 3 words in the English language to hear someone say that because they do know. Am I my brother's guardian? No, he turns the table on God. God asked him a question, and he gives a sarcastic, like most of you, nasty answer. And then has the audacity to think he can question God. Am I my brother's guardian? Oh, the arrogance of a human. He said, what have you done? You know, when Yeshua rebuked the devil, he just shut right up and went on to the next thing. Most of you are not even as smart as the devil. Definitely not. None of you are. You have the bravado, the whatever you got it, to talk back, not knowing that there's nothing to say after that. Even the adversary gets that. He shuts up, moves on to something else to see if you're going to give another good reply. Now you are cursed. He says to him, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood is crying out to me from the ground. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around that because now my heart wants to cry and weep. Just like the hostages and what Hamas has done. My heart wants to cry and weep. But I got to keep reading. Now you are cursed from the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood at your hands. So when you farm the ground, it will no longer yield its strength to you. You will be a fugitive wandering the earth. a vagabond, a nomad. Cain said to Adonai, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Narcissistic people, they can't even stand it when you punish them, even though they did worse to someone else. More than what you can bear, you're still alive. You are banning me today from the land and from your presence. I will be a fugitive wandering the earth. He never, I can't wrap my mind around people that have a psychotic brain. You just killed your brother. He still makes himself a victim. God didn't kill him. I will be a fugitive wandering the earth. Whoever finds me will kill me. Adonai answered him, therefore, whoever kills Cain will receive vengeance sevenfold. And Adonai put a sign on Cain so that no one who found him would kill him. So Cain left the presence of Adonai and lived in the land of Nod, wandering east of Eden. Wow. I am my brother's keeper. What you do unto the least of these, you have done unto me. Whoever receives a prophet, which gives a glass of water, gets a prophet's reward. Take in the widower, the orphan, the weak, and the poor, and the sick. Care for those who have a difficult time caring for themselves. Nurse them. You're born for it. Those who think you should be doing this and should be doing that for your fame and for money actually give their life and their energy to other people. I could use all of my money, all of my energy to make money. I could use all of my energy to help somebody. And if that means my hands, my visits, my comfort, my talking, my cooking, my lifting, anything I can do, what can I do for my brother? What can I do to help the foreigner and the stranger? This is Torah. It's not about church services and jamming on a guitar or piano. No, no, no. This is pure religion. To do justly, to walk humbly before God, your neighbor. Yeshua said, what person who loses something doesn't rejoice when they find it, and their neighbors and their friends rejoice? Do you rejoice over your friends and enemies' calamity? Or do you rejoice over one soul that comes to the Lord, a person that is able and gets back on their feet? Are you rejoicing to see people reunited? Where is your compassion to think about the goodness, what the Lord has done for me? When I think on the goodness of Jesus and all that he's done for me, I sing that song. That song is not exactly correct. You mean to tell me that all I can think about is what he's done for me? I have a very small life and a very small bubble and sphere in which I operate. You mean to tell me I can't look around me and see what God has done for everybody else? Somebody else? It doesn't always have to do with me, does it? Can't I think about what God did for my neighbor? How God helped that stranger? What God did for that business on the street? How the Lord helped those people in that country? Don't you rejoice over that? Are you excited? Or is it only about you? You only pray and fast when there's somebody in your family that's sick, or especially when you're sick? Are you fasting and praying for other people? Very few people ever ask me how I'm doing, except for about 10 seconds, and they move on for the next hour or two to talk about themselves. You're not rejoicing? Somebody else's family that came back from being underground for over a year and a half, emaciated, survived it. What was that? What if that was your son, your daughter, your wife, your husband, if you love them? Some you probably wish it was your wife, or your husband, or your daughter, or your son. What if that was your friend? What if that was someone that really cared for you? Worse even, what if that was you? Don't you think somebody was happy to see you back? We have a scene in my video, Jesus is waiting, and you see the people coming back, and the mother would, I can hardly watch that without weeping. I can't help it. I always have been the type of person that thinks of other people's welfare, other people's good. Even when they succeed, I am so happy for them. And when they don't, I am so sad. I carry within me what's called true compassion. And when you have true compassion, very few people need to ever ask me for anything. I just do it. True compassion doesn't wait to be asked. It doesn't wait to care. And it's not looking to kill somebody over jealousy. True compassion. Rejoice. 90% of your day should be thinking of other people. 10% of it should be thinking of you. And that's in reference to the human lateral expression of your faith, because all of it should be thinking on the Lord. And when you're thinking on the Lord, that's how it manifests itself. It doesn't mean being some religious ritual. Thinking on the Lord, well, what's the delight of the Lord? That you care for your brother and that your sister, that you leave your altar, your gift at the altar until you get right with that person that you've yelled at, maligned, mocked, mistreated. God, it's not, oh, just as long as you love me, I don't care what you do to other people. You cannot claim to love your God and treat your brothers, your friends, your sister, whoever God's put in your life negatively. That's hypocrisy. Who is your neighbor? Primarily your kinsman, the one that's closest to you in your family line, in your community, in your tribe. That's before we even talk about foreigners. By the way, we haven't even got to the other part, the enemy. There is a compassion, a love, and a responsibility that first charity begins at home. It's the ones that are closest to you first, before you start talking about somebody that lives next door to you. It's the one in your own faith, in your own race, in your own tribe. Then it branches out to the employees and then the non-employees. Then it branches out to the foreigner, what we call an alien. Then it branches out the furthest in the world, then to the enemy. And war, it said, we give no quarter to the enemy. But there's a time where you even have a compassion for the enemy. Does he deserve it? No, but then again, isn't that mercy, not doing to you what you deserve? Isn't that grace, giving to you what you don't deserve? Simply out of the benevolence of the spirit of Adonai, because grace doesn't come from you or me. We are simply dispensaries, distributors of it. It's all from God. We have no love really to give anyone. It's God's love expressed in us. We have no grace to give anyone. It's God's grace. We have no mercy to give anyone. It's God's mercy expressed through us. Try to spend more of your time thinking and meditating. Even those of you who have families, you have a responsibility first to your family. Like I've always said, charity begins at home. But don't be so isolated in that you forget the other families, the larger community that you live in. Because there's a responsibility to that too. Well, you won't have responsibility to the larger community if you reject the one that you have in your own. Do unto others as you first do unto yourself. You can be kind to other people when you're kind to yourself. You can be merciful when you're merciful. You can be graceful when you're graceful to yourself. You can be generous to other people. Are you generous with yourself? That's where it branches. It doesn't go from outside in. From within, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. Love, genuinely, authentically. When you read the news, rejoice when you hear about somebody coming back home after being a hostage. Rejoice when you hear that your neighbor just made $1 billion. When you see they got a new car, don't you go out with your jealous, envious self to think that you're competing. Oh, no, oh, honey, we better get a new car. The neighbor just got one. That's not the way that works. Let them have the newer car. You buy a cheaper and uglier one. How about that? Let them have the glory for the week, for the year. This isn't a competition. See who's got the biggest bat, the biggest wallet. Be less so that they can be the best. You decrease so that they can increase. Imagine that. Hallelujah. Something to think about.
It's a lonely road on my way to Kansas, on my way to see a friend. It's been a long time since I've been in Kansas, and I'm glad to be be going back again on the road to Kansas. There's a friend I gotta see. Follow your road to Kansas, and you'll be on the road. You'll be on the road that sets you free. Some of us spend a lifetime trying to right the things we've done wrong, but we don't have to wait a long time to end the pain we've caused and learn to get along. On the road to Kansas, there's a friend I gotta see. Follow your road to Kansas, and you'll be on the road. You'll be on the road, on the road to Kansas. There's a friend I gotta see. Follow your road to Kansas, and you'll be on the road. You'll be on the road. You'll be on the road. On the road. Everyone's got a road to Kansas. God can help you find your way. When the road is long and narrow, on the road, night or day, yeah. On the road to Kansas, there's a friend I gotta see. Follow your road to Kansas, and you'll be on the road. You'll be on the road, on the road to Kansas.